Welcome, everyone, to the January 18th regular meeting for the Village of Wheeling. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hein?
Here.
Trustee Vito?
Here.
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Krueger?
Present.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
President Argyris?
Here. Entertained to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of December 21st with a correction, Madam Clerk.
The correction is on page 7. It says, it should say on the, let me get the page 7. It says on the nose, it says Trustee Lang, and it should say Trustee Vogel.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Brady with the correction. Second by?
Second.
Trustee Hein. Roll call.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. Any changes to the agenda?
None this evening.
Thank you. Citizens' concerns and comments?
There are none this evening, Mr.
Okay.
President.
Thank you. Staff reports. Economic Development Director Malanovi.
Thank you, President Argyris. I'm delighted to report the press release we received from Braintree, Massachusetts. Richlow Foods announced the expansion at their manufacturing capacity by entering into a long-term lease for a 115,000 square foot food-grade manufacturing plant in Wheeling at 120 West Palatine Road. Richlow's president and CEO, Tim O'Connor, stated, "We are very excited to announce this expansion and for the capacity it will add to our manufacturing network. When the site is fully operational, it will significantly increase our frozen pizza and dressings capabilities to a level required to support the growth of our customers. The expanding capacity will not only provide the ability to meet our customers' demands today, but for a number of years into the future. We believe this is a major step in achieving our vision of becoming the premier supplier of private label pizza, dressings, and sauces in the eyes of our customers, suppliers, employees, and communities." The company evaluated several locations across a number of states and decided on the Wheeling site due to its geographic location, superior infrastructure, and strong labor market. We expect the site to be fully operational in the second half of 2016 and to employ as many as 125 new workers over the next 12 months. I want to personally thank the Village of Wheeling leadership team for their help and assistance, and especially their Economic Development Director, John Malanovi, and President Dean Argyris, as well as Governor Bruce Rauner and Congressman Bob Dole, who were instrumental in recruiting Richlow Foods to Wheeling and the state of Illinois. So that was a nice press release, and as you know, our staff worked with federal, state, and Cook County officials in partnership to attract Richlow Foods to Wheeling and to bring 125 new jobs to Illinois.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
That was a big, big win for the Village of Wheeling. Public Works Director Janik, got something to say?
Thank you, Mr. President Argyris. I'd like to remind everybody with the cold weather that if your house does have any issues relative to your water system, your sinks, any pipes that are close to the outside walls, make sure that, especially tonight, to keep some water dripping, slightly running in your faucet on any sink or any area that might have a problem, to avoid your pipes freezing outside.
Thank you. And another thing, just a quick check. Sherry and Deputy Chief Wolf and Chief McIsaac will probably want to maybe piggyback on this. It's a good time to check on your neighbors, the elderly, especially in this type of cold weather. We should be very vigilant and see who lives around us and who needs assistance. Sometimes furnaces don't work, water pipes break, things like that. So if you have a neighbor that's elderly or needs some assistance, please reach out to them. This is a dangerous time with this type of weather, and we should all be good neighbors and watch out for those. So I don't know if anybody wants to say anything or on that, but I think that's important to remind everybody to do that. Okay? I think that's it for now. Consent agenda.
Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A is a resolution waiving competitive bids and authorizing the village manager to approve an agreement with Melrose Pyrotechnics Incorporated for a public fireworks display on July 3rd, 2016, at a price not to exceed $25,000. Resolution B, approving the release of certain executive session minutes of the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Wheeling.
Thank you. Any concerns, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Lang, second by trustee Vogel. Roll call.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Argyros?
Yes. 13A.
Ordinance authorizing a redevelopment agreement between the Village of Wheeling and Consolidated Commercial Properties, LLC, in regards to a parking lot development compromising a part of the Crossroads TIF district and authorizing the transfer of title to certain real property owned by the village to Consolidated Commercial Properties, LLC, in relation thereto.
Thank you. Director Malanofi.
Thank you, President Argyros. The village received an offer to purchase the 9,662 square feet village-owned land at 300 South Milwaukee from Consolidated Consulting Engineers. They plan to purchase the property for $60,000 to develop a parking lot containing 20 parking spaces, which can be utilized for their office building as well as for public use in the evenings and the weekends. This will provide additional public parking in the Crossroads TIF district. They will develop their own parking lot without the use of any TIF funds. The village, there is a village-owned ejector pump on the property, thus the redevelopment agreement requires an easement to allow village public works employees access. The developer will grant an easement in perpetuity for the benefit of the general public that allows for use of the portion of the property as an ejector pump. One parking space will be designated for village vehicles. The developer shall further enter into a license agreement with the village in the form for use of the property as a public parking lot on Monday through Friday from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. and on Saturday from 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. and on Sunday from 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. The owner will submit to the village all plans, specifications, and other information necessary for action by the village upon all approvals, consents, permits, licenses, and authorizations reasonably necessary for the project to be constructed in a timely manner pursuant to the terms of this agreement. The village, in its capacity as a municipal corporation, has sole discretion to approve the final development plans for the project. Village staff recommends approval of the sale of the village-owned parcel of land to Consolidated Consulting Engineers for $60,000 for development of a parking lot to enhance parking availability to the adjacent office building as well as for public use in the Crossroads TIF district in the evenings and on the weekends.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
Please state your name for the record, please.
My name's Jeff Brand, and I'm the attorney for Consolidated.
Thank you.
Edward Krastowski, the developer, Consolidated Commercial Properties.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Trustee Lang?
Thank you. We originally talked, I don't know if where this has gone, but talked about the there being some sort of connection to the Chicago Bagel lot. So that must have changed along the way. Part two of that is the fence that's between the two lots. It probably should come down. If it doesn't say so in the report.
No, it does not, but the fence will come down as part of this project.
Okay. And what happened to the connection between the two that didn't work out? Was there a cross-access that we were going to do between both lots, or was that? Go ahead.
If I may, yeah, we kind of looked at that at one time, but, you know, the owner with Chicago Bagel kind of took a pass on it, and we felt that it was kind of a mutual agreement between us that if he needed the parking, it is obviously going to be an after-hour parking, and of course, when we don't need it for our purposes on Sunday morning, Harold's more than welcome, you know, to use the space.
Okay. But for sure, the fence is coming down, and will there be some sort of path between the two lots?
I think we can accommodate that.
Great. Thank you.
Anybody else? I just have a question, an inquiry. This auto transport business that you've had at your
It
site,
was a tenant.
I know, are they still a tenant?
Well, they're still a tenant, but I think they understand now that, I think what happened is, I know they've been a tenant of mine for over 12 months. There was no issues with them using the parking lot, but as you know, I guess they had some issue with finally getting to a point where they had some business. They were in between getting someplace to actually keep their trucks, so there was a period where they did bring their rigs in and did park, but that apparently has been all taken care of. They understand they can't use that property as, for parking.
Well, it's not just the property, it's the unloading of cars on the
Oh,
middle of the
absolutely.
street and
I mean-
blocking driveways into businesses that
Right.
has become a nightmare for the last 3,
Right.
4 months.
I think if it's something that they can't do, obviously, if there's an ordinance, they have to be cited for not doing that.
I know our
But,
police department's been all over it,
Right.
CDs, I know, talk to you and all that stuff.
But I do believe there hasn't been an issue since, they kind of got that worked out.
Okay, well, we'll continue to remind them, please, because I get the phone calls, and I'll be honest with you, recently, from the developer or the ownership of Fresh Farms. He was blocking Center Street on a Friday, the funeral home.
Yeah.
Blocking the Center Street, that people can't turn into the funeral home. They had to go through D'Agostino's to get to a funeral home to go to a visitation. I mean, enough of that.
Right.
So, please.
Understood.
And it seems to always happen on Friday nights and Saturdays, real convenient, real late. But you know what, a lot of us are all over the place, so we see these things, and I get the phone calls as well as the rest of our staff and trustees, so,
I wasn't happy about it myself.
okay.
President Argyris, on that issue, we included language in the RDA that, where we could impose a fine on Mr. Christowski if his tenant is cited and found guilty of a violation. So, Ed wasn't happy with that language, but he has some incentive to make sure his tenants comply as well.
I saw that, thanks. Okay, entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion by trustee Lang,
Second.
second by trustee Kruger, roll call.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. Good luck, Ed.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
13B,
Resolution authorizing a term sheet between the Village of Wheeling and Arbor 4 LLC in regard to TIF-eligible improvements to be made to the Arbor Court apartment complex.
thank you. Director Malanafy.
Thank you, President Argyris. The village received a TIF application from Nieder Capital, the owners of Arbor Court Apartment Complex located at 100 Arbor Court last year. Nieder Capital has revised their plans and are now proposing to make over $600,000 in improvements at the property. The developer has requested $300,000 in TIF assistance to improve the property with tuck pointing, new windows, furnish and install EFS on the front entry elements, parking lot expansion, new sidewalks, new awnings, new retaining wall along 2 areas, and re-roof. The new proposal envisions approximately $600,000 in total improvements, and the owners propose to privately finance and pay for several improvements, including parking lot addition, sidewalk, new storm sewer for the rear parking lot, retaining wall east and west side, parking lot railing 7 section, park setting with benches and bike rack installation. This portion of the improvements are referred to as the private project, and the private project is not part of the TIF request. The developer will spend another $300,000 to further improve the property. The specific improvements for which the developer is seeking TIF assistance include tuck pointing, new windows, furnish and install EFS on the front entry elements, parking lot expansion, new sidewalks, new awnings, new retaining wall along 2 areas, and re-roof. This portion of the project is referred to the TIF project. The village's TIF consultant, Kane McKenna and Associates, has evaluated the original TIF proposal and determined the TIF eligible expenses for the project. The applicant projects a total investment of $600,000 with a request of $300,000 or 50% to be funded through TIF assistance.
Thank you.
And you're welcome.
Is there anything else? I'm sorry.
I would just say staff's recommending village board approval of the term sheet. If the term sheet is approved by the village board, staff would then negotiate a definitive redevelopment agreement. The redevelopment agreement will contain reasonable and customary default provisions for the real estate and TIF transactions. The redevelopment agreement would then require subsequent approval from the board. The project will provide approximately $600,000 in overall improvements to Harbor Court apartments and improve the aesthetics of the property within the Crossroads TIF.
Thank you, Jan.
You're welcome.
Questions from the board? Trustee Lang?
I have questions on the tuck pointing. And now, I see that there wasn't a parent's approval for that from the Plan Commission needed. But if I can respectfully ask that the color of this tuck pointing be something neutral or very similar to what it looks like now. I just have this fear that if it's a darker color, it could cheapen the look of the building. And I'd rather improve the look than cheapen the look. And tuck pointing goes a long way. You could do it really bad or really good.
Mike Laube, representing the developer here, Nieder Capital. I'll make note of that and convey that appropriately to my client who couldn't be here tonight and apologizes he couldn't be here, but I'll make sure that message gets to him.
Great project, looking forward to improvements on this. It's a long time coming, and I think it's great that we are able to provide some TIF money for this as well. Perfect use of it, I believe, because it's a project that's been here in the village for a long time, and it needs improvement. And these are little things that we need to do to improve this entire town.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Trustee Brady?
Didn't, sometime earlier on, wasn't there supposed to be one building removed for more parking? Or is that,
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so-
Trustee Brady.
okay. I think it's about time these buildings got a little sprucing up. They're not in bad shape, they just need some refreshments. And I'm glad to see it happen. I can already tell that the owners have been putting some time inside the buildings. The people that are living there seem to be happy, and less crowded, let's put it that way. So, yeah, I'm very, very hopeful that this will really turn into a nice thing for the entire area there, and I applaud it. Now, their intention is to own this as the owners and renters, or are they doing this to flip it at some point?
No, my client is a long-term holder. He's owned it for a long period of time and intends to
Okay,
own it for a
good.
period of time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Trustee Vogel?
Yeah, it's pretty clear that there's no increment for this project for the village, hard dollars. And because of that, I just don't think that, we have plenty of other projects that will generate an increment and are necessary to spruce up the village. And I don't think this type of project, once we do this, are we going to underwrite the maintenance for every rental unit in the village all of a sudden? Are we opening the door to say, here we go, I'm renting a house out, I need a new roof, can you come and pay for my roof?
No, I don't think, in a legal sense, you're not creating precedent. TIF projects are really, you take them as they come. No one can really make a case that they're entitled to TIF money. It's a purely discretionary process that any village board has to consider. Increment is a consideration. Where there isn't going to be increment, there are other considerations that you can consider, such as sprucing up an area to hopefully generate future development, things like that. So I'm not concerned from a legal standpoint that you're setting yourself up for some sort of precedential argument. I don't see that.
Don't see that happening. I still, just the fact that it is a rental unit, people are collecting rent on it, and my concept of a rental unit is you include your ongoing maintenance and the cost of the rent. And it should be the responsibility of the landlord and not the taxpayers. So I can't go along with that.
Anybody else? Trustee Hein.
Thank you. This particular project is a few blocks off of our Restaurant Row and the rest of the development in that area. And what it does do for the entire district is to keep the value at a level where it does improve the area, because it's important that we keep up some of the older structures in the TIF district. And one of the elements of the TIF program is to be able to reconstruct and rehabilitate existing buildings, because they surely can't be replaced in what they are today, in today's dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Trustee Krueger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with the concept that Trustee Hein was bringing up at this point about it's the first multifamily or facility that people drive through when they come to town, and I think that there is a price maybe, or a price list to the aesthetic to that. I understand that. But maybe to staff, this then will come to the board again when the redevelopment agreement is finalized?
Correct.
I would ask that I see there's a rendering on screen now, but I would have liked for even this packet to have see what we're investing in. And I didn't have that this time. Perhaps during the redevelopment agreement portion, we get a few more pictures of what it is we're investing in.
Sure. We'll make sure those are attachments to the redevelopment.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make a couple comments, and I'm hearing loud and clear what Trustee Vogel's saying. But I totally look at what this guy's done since, all money's invested since the acquisition of 2009 to 2015 is in excess of $556,000 that he's done to those 78 units there in families. I totally agree that I think this is more capital improvements, major capital improvements for an area that's been blighted, been run down by previous owners, is in the heart of our community here, not just for those residents of the apartment buildings there, but I also believe the residents that surround that apartment building, the people on Wheeling Avenue, the people on Center, the people that live in that area, Old Town, that, you know what, we finally have an opportunity to do something. And we've enacted a facade improvement program of 50-50, not to exceed $50,000 to any individual business within a TIF district. And that's been successful through the years. Has it increased increment? No. Have we spent money on clock towers and fountains? Yeah. Does it create an increment? No. But we've done things to enhance our community. We've done things to replace old infrastructure, which again, in my opinion, is capital improvement, not just maintenance. So this is not a maintenance program. This is a major capital improvement program. I think he's taken the crime-infested area of that complex and done some wonderful things with that through the years. I mean, years ago, it was bad. I've met numerous families that lived there, some of as long as 10, 11 years, that actually work at the car wash here at Wolf and Dundee Road. And actually told me that for once, after 8 years, I'm getting bathrooms done. I'm getting my apartment painted. I'm getting carpeting put in. So he's collected rents, but he's reinvested the developer back into that complex there because he understands, you know what? Anytime you do major improvements like that, it increases the EAV, in my opinion, of the value of those properties. So down the road, there's 3 years left of that TIF, 4 years left of that TIF. Down the road, I think you're going to see increased value, and I think it's going to increase the aesthetics of our town, like Trustee Hein had mentioned earlier, that we have an opportunity to do something nice for 78 families that live there and to move on. So there's been, like I said, a lot of money has been spent over the last 6, 7 years. There's more money going to be spent there. Just in November, I noticed a huge permitting fee for probably a $60,000 total tear off of one of the roofs. Not just tar paper, we're talking the plywood. So that was a major, and he took advantage of that, which was good because of the weather. You know, you had guys looking for work and the weather was 50 degrees and good time to do a roof in November, December. So I think anytime that we can do something like that to enhance existing old tire buildings is a positive. Fortunate enough, in our TIF districts, we don't have a lot of apartment buildings in it. The apartment buildings that we have in this community, off of Strong and, Northgate, they're not in the TIF. And this TIF in particular is going to be gone soon. So I think this is a good move. I like the thought of reinvesting back into the properties, helping those 50, 60-year-old properties that have been around a long time. And more important, not just for the residents there, again, I'll say it again, for the community around it that's had a look at it and butt up against it. So anytime we can fix it with fencing, parking, stormwater management, which he's planning on doing, which is a big thing, I think it's a good move, so.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
one more question. The fence along the back, I have to apologize, I really haven't taken a close look at it, but I know it's been there for an awful long time. Is that in the plans to be replaced?
Let me just look here. I'll need to, Trustee Brady, I'll need to check on that and
Okay, would
get
you
back
please,
to
because,
you.
yeah,
I will.
if it's to the point where its time is up, maybe we should include that also.
Okay.
Maybe that'll come in with the redoing of the parking lot there, too. Right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Motion by Trustee Brady, second by
Second.
Trustee Lang, roll call.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes?
I'm sorry, Trustee Vito?
No.
Trustee Brady?
Yes?
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
No.
President Juris?
Yes. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President and Board of Trustees.
Okay. 13C.
Ordinance amending Title I General Provisions, Chapter 1.04, Code Section 1.04.035, penalties for violating code provisions of the Wheeling Village Code relative to collection agencies or attorneys pursuing unpaid fines.
Thank you. Attorney Furlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before you is a very simple change to the village code that allows the staff to charge back to an individual that owes fines or other payments to the village the costs or fees incurred by the village in using a collection agency or collection attorney to pursue any amounts that are due and owing. The Illinois Municipal Code was amended a few years back to allow for this type of language. With the village recently hiring a collection agency, this language became timely in terms of adding it to the village code. I think it's a good addition that will help with collection efforts.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Trustee Vito?
The agreement we just had with that collection agency, most of that was on contingency fee, right?
Yes.
And that's who's collecting the bulk of our stuff?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So in other words, if you lose a third to an agency, you can charge that third back to the debtor.
Right. I just was a little worried that it was going to be an hourly fee for some of the residents, and paying lawyers like me and you
No,
is a little much.
Yeah,
if it's the third.
We've never gone that route.
Yeah, if it's a third, then, it's okay.
Right.
Anybody else? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Vogel,
Second.
second by Trustee Hein. Roll call.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes?
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Juris?
Yes. 13D.
Resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 medium-duty Horton ambulances from Foster Coach Sales Incorporated at a cost not to exceed $535,510.
Thank you. Chief McIsaac.
Thank you very much, President Argyris. Tonight, we have bringing a project to closure that we started last fall. As you may remember, over the last year, we've talked about replacing vehicles that we have deferred over the last several years replacing. You have before you tonight 2 ambulances that we discussed back in October at our budget hearing. We are using a purchasing cooperative in order to purchase these vehicles. As you may remember, approximately 18 years ago, Lieutenant Paramedic Tim Durkin, who's in the room, and myself worked with the Northwest Municipal Conference to create a joint purchasing program for vehicles. We have continued that practice. This is actually the 3rd extension of this contract that already exists with the conference, and that package has grown from being not only the Northwest Municipal Conference, but the entire Chicago suburban metro area. As a result of that, you'll see in your packet that based upon market value, we budgeted this project at $590,000. and that includes the stretcher assembly that needs to go into some graphics. As I've presented to you in the package here, we're outsourcing some of those purchasing, but when we're done with this project, we anticipate being $26,000 under budget, and that's the value of buying through the purchasing cooperative. Something that about 100 ambulances total in the area have gone through as well. And as you may remember, all of our current ambulances were bought through the same program over the years, resulting in substantial savings to the residents. So again, what we're asking for tonight is the purchase of the 2 vehicles from Foster Coach, the same company that we have purchased previous ambulances from. If approved tonight, these ambulances would be delivered approximately November, December of this year.
Thank you, Chief. Questions? No?
Just a comment.
Sure, go ahead.
It's, going through this, it's nice to see that the foreign fire tax board kicked in a little bit too. How did that come about?
Well, what was, we have historically always installed a new stretcher assembly because they bolt the mounting brackets and all in the ambulances when we buy them new. And the standard stretcher assembly that was going in this is comparable to the one we have now. The Foreign Fire Board has approached myself and other members, including Chairman Durkin, and talked to us about upgrading the stretchers to a hydraulic type system that actually has electronically controlled hydraulics to lift and lower the patients on the stretchers, feeling that that'll reduce back injuries and all, and we discussed it. And what we reached an agreement is that they would pay the differential between the current stretchers that we're using and the model that they desire to go to. And that resulted in them agreeing to fund over $12,000 towards this program.
That's excellent. I'm glad you checked on that.
So moved.
I just got to make a comment real quick if I could, and I'll take your motion. Again, here's a good example of, we talk about SURF funds. Every budget we talk about SURF, SURF, SURF. And because we put away and contribute all the departments into the SURF, it's important that everybody understands that we're not borrowing money to buy these ambulances. We're not borrowing money to buy the pumper truck. We're not borrowing money, we're paying for it for the tower truck. So again, we talk about this every year at budget time, and we're able to do that. Again, I got to throw some kudos to Superintendent Spratt and his staff for keeping a lot of this equipment going for a long time. It's probably had its end a while ago. Public Works equipment, Police Department equipment, even our CD department. You know, that everybody needs to realize that works for us and the taxpayers here in this community that take pride in what we have here because it costs a lot of money. It's big money. And I just hope that everybody's conscious of that, and that when we have equipment that the taxpayers of the Village of Wheeling are paying for, that our staff is conscious that, hey, this is like my own car. I wouldn't bang it around or bang equipment around or take care of it. Because we're fortunate to pay for this now, but who knows what 5 years from now is going to be or 10 years from now. So we've made those investments through the years, through a lot of hard work. Michael, pulls his hair to try to keep these funds going because replacement comes. And today's a good example with the fire department and seeing what we've done in the last year, replacing big dollar amount equipment. But I just wish everybody please take care of your stuff. Chuck's got his hands full, I know, with his staff over there and keeping things going, especially with the winter. We see it, and things break. Things happen. I get it. But we're fortunate that we're not borrowing like other communities are borrowing to buy $1 million items or $500,000 items because we thought and we planned ahead. So kudos to all the department heads and also to you, Michael, for trying to keep it all together. We got a big investment here, and the big investment is sometimes you got to replace it. So, Trustee Brady made a motion. Second by?
Second.
Trustee Kruger. Roll call.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Argyris?
Yes. Official communication. I'm going to start off with Trustee Hein.
Thank you. Just a short note that the Wheeling Historical Society will be having one of their fundraisers, and that is the White Elephant sale that we have in February on the 24th. ladies, it's a good chance to get rid of those things not worth keeping around the house anymore. So pack up the things to bring over there and bring along your husbands. I have one more item that this evening. I have written a letter to the president of the village, and I'd like to read it to you now. It's with regret that I tender my resignation from the Village of Wheeling Board of Trustees effective February 1st, 2016. I'm grateful for having the opportunity to serve the residents of Wheeling who have supported me over the years, and I offer my best wishes for Wheeling's continued success. I did this after very long deliberation, and because of health issues in our family and a bunch of other things, I feel that I cannot devote the time that I need to fulfill this office. So I would like the board to accept my resignation at this time.
Thank you, Trustee Hine. Trustee Hine gave me that on Wednesday. And kind of surprised, shocked. But totally understand, you know, it takes a lot. And with Trustee Hine, here's a gentleman that's devoted with his family 5 decades to this community. As a trustee, as a village president, as a trustee, involved with the Historical Society, involved with the Farmers Market, involved with the Volunteer Fire Department. That's how he started. His family businesses here, his mother, his father, his kids. So it's a lot to ask any one individual to devote that time. And sometimes you just got to say, you know what? It's time. I need to spend time for myself and take care of my family and move forward. So after I slept on this, I go, here we go again. You know, with the tragic of Bob here last year, the election stuff that happened this past year, I've been given the responsibility again, who do I replace that seat to the next election of 2017? So I thought about it, kept it to myself. I asked the executive secretary to contact Mary Papantos to have a meeting with me in the office, which she was gracious enough to come last Thursday. Spent probably 2 hours together. And was convinced that very short time here on the board was a good time. And we worked together. And Mary understands our way of wanting to move forward, stay focused, work as a team. She showed that for a couple months that she sat on the board. And I think it's only appropriate and fitting that I reappoint her to the board to fulfill the term of Trustee Hine. Mary's agreed to do it. Unanimously, the board has okayed my recommendation, which is a good thing of showing that what a team we are here as a board. We're focused here, and as I've said many times, but I think Mary will fill the seat graciously for the next 14 months, right? And so we can all move forward with business at hand. I think it's a smooth transition, and I'm just happy that in my capacity where it's my decision, but they have the backing of this board, and I would never do anything without the backing of this board, regardless who's in charge or what happens here. So with that, Mary, you want to come on up and say a couple words? And so everybody knows, next Monday will be a special meeting. It'll be Trustee Hine's last meeting. On February 1st, our official meeting, regular meeting, Mary will at that time be sworn in by the village clerk. Mayor?
Thank you, President Argyris. First of all, Trustee Hine, best of luck. Thank you for your service over the years, as President Argyris said. Starting out as a volunteer fireman, I don't think most residents realize that that was Wheeling back in the day, that we had volunteers, not a full fire department, and relying on citizens to help us. Thank you to the board, and thank you, President Argyris. I look forward to serving, working with all of you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Trustee Brady.
Well, Bill, we're going to miss you. You know, you always come up with interesting points, good points, and a lot of history as to where this town came from. But I gotta say, after knowing you for some 43 years, you never cease to surprise me. This came out of nowhere, but I can understand it though, looking at what you're going through. And I wish you and Joni the best of luck, and please don't drop out of sight. You know, you still got a lot of friends here. So we're looking forward to tipping one every now and then together. Other than that, nothing else.
Thank you, Ken. Trustee Vogel?
To echo what Trustee Brady said, I haven't known Mr. Hine that long, but I think maybe he might recollect that the first time I did run into his family, I got thrown out of Hines Pub about 40 years ago by his brother and his mother. Bill wasn't there at the that evening, and I'm sure he would have assisted him. But since then, I got to know his mother quite well, and she understood we were just having fun that evening and invited us back anytime. And I've learned to appreciate Bill and the things he's done for the village, and wish him and Joni the best of luck.
Thank you. Trustee Kruger?
Thank you. First, Mary, in lieu of your swearing in, welcome back. And Trustee Hine, I think you're irreplaceable. So best of luck to you, and best wishes in your retirement. And on a village note, I believe I've seen some website links that are promoting St. Baldrick's is coming up next month, so just giving you my first of probably many reminders that one of the biggest firefighting fundraisers will be occurring at the end of March, and I'm contemplating whether or not I will shave again, but I'll let you all know when I do, and that'll be all. Thanks.
Thanks. Trustee Lang?
Yeah. Well, Mr. Hine, I've known you probably most of my life, and always thought highly of you, and proud to serve with you on this board. So definitely will miss you. Learned a lot from you, and look forward to us continuing the making this town even better. On that note, the project that we had tonight with Arbor Court, and how that was fortunate enough to be in a TIF district, and fortunate to where we were able to provide some assistance, because people outside of this town only remember the worst looking projects, the developments. They only remember the things that don't look so great in this town. And I'd like to change that. And we have other projects. We have Wolf Road, we have Colonial Apartments that have the same, if not worse, look to them. And people remember that. And we're better than that in this town. But outsiders, that's what they see, and that sticks with them. So, you know, I wanted to ask the board your feelings on maybe expanding the TIF or doing something with the TIF area that incorporates Colonial, and seeing if there's something we could do with Wolf Road as well and fix up some of these places. I think it's money well spent, because there are projects that are blighted, and there's something that definitely we can do. We have funding to do something like this. I don't want to set a bad precedent, like Trustee Vogel has said on this. I wouldn't want people coming out of the woodwork saying, I need money for this and that. I think these are projects that we all know need help. And so I'd like to get the feeling of the board of what kind of improvements can we make? What kind of assistance can we be? Because, like I said, we're only as good as our worst-looking developments. And people will remember that. And you know, we have a chance to make it better. So.
No, it's a good point. And speaking with Manager Svandelis and also with Director Malanofi, we've recognized some of the issues, especially west of town, which is a big issue as well. And we have a bunch of meetings set up within the next 30 days with some of those property owners as well. The village manager and the village attorney and I have met regarding some of the TIF issues that you talk about. What are some of the things that we can do? And I know they're reviewing some of that stuff to get back to us on. And because you're right, because there are areas, like we've talked about before, that are tired and need help. And you talk about Colonial, it's the eyesore, Colonial. But unfortunately, that's a condominium association that's not even an association. It's whoever wants to take the bull by the horns and do something. And we've lived in that area for going on 30 years myself, and dealing with the problems there. I mean, the police departments have problems there, community development, inspectors have problems there, but there's no go-to person like a Lexington or other condo associations throughout this town. So I think there's some things I think the village manager has recognized as well, and we see where the concerns are, and I think they got to sit down here, the staff, along with our legal staff, to see what we can do. If there's something, or a program out there that maybe some other towns are doing to help with that. I don't know. But you're right. There's some bad areas there that, for all the good, you got one bad, and there's 5 good, but there's 1 bad, and everybody remembers the bad. And I think it's time to clean up some of that stuff there while we're able.
And how many comments have you gotten from residents about the multitude of roof colors on Colonial?
Right.
The cable wiring hanging all over the place. I mean, there's some things, shutters, for instance, that you put a consistent roof on it, you put shutters on, you clean up the wiring in some of the yards, and all of a sudden they don't look so bad. And you look at what's going to happen with Arbor, there's some cleanup that will happen, and all of a sudden it doesn't look so bad.
Right.
So just food for thought.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Ray. I'm disappointed with a lot of the property owners to the west. There's not a day that goes by I don't get something emailed to me, or a text to me, or a voicemail to me, or Facebook to me, talking about everything west of Dundee Road, west of the tracks on Dundee Road. We live there. I mean, it's not just about one neighborhood. It's about everybody's neighborhood. And we've done a lot on Milwaukee Avenue. We've done a lot with the Crossroads TIF. We're doing stuff in the North TIF. And the Town Center TIF now is starting to go. And hopefully when this goes, it'll domino to the west. But you know what? A lot of these property owners have taken no responsibility of doing things. And it's time that we start.
Agreed.
And you know what? You sit down. I've had numerous meetings in the last 3 years with certain property owners that have been in this town 50, 60 years. They collect rents. They don't collect rents. They write off. Our staff is spending nothing but time going there with inspections because dead trees, parking lots are broken, this is happening, and they don't care. But you know what? I care. You care. We all care. And enough is enough. And people are tired of looking at it. And people are, you know the difference. And you know what? We got to change that difference. And we need to be proactive. So I think it all works hand in hand with what you're saying tonight. And I think everybody on this board is agreeable with that. But we got shopping centers here that it's all about the rent.
Right.
Well, it's nice that they collect the rent here. Maybe they should live here. And, these are some of the things I think we need to look at. And, we talked about this with our strategic planning, too. How do you take areas there and improve areas? But I think what our staff is doing, and John's working really hard along with Drew, and having that communication with these guys and trying to help them get tenants. And, it's all about the almighty buck. And we've had great opportunities, especially the shopping center to the west of 83, that I think everybody knows what I'm talking about, where we could have had some great stores there. But he chose not to do it for whatever reason. And, and it's the same song and dance. And it's got to change. And I think that's my goal this year.
Yeah.
And Ken, I know you want to say something on that.
This goes back quite a ways to when we first started making plans for the intersection of Dundee and Milwaukee. We spent $1.2 million on a fountain. Everybody said, well, why are you doing that? Well, we're a community. We want to be recognized as a good community. And when you come into town, what do you see? Empty lots, long grass, weeds. So we made the decision, we have got to show the world that the Village of Wheeling means business when we want to improve our character, our looks. We did that, and everybody that came in after that, we said, you see what we just spent all that money in there? And you're going to build something that will equal that in quality and aesthetics. We care about our village. We've got the west side of town there, we got a shopping center that doesn't do anything. We got an empty lot on the corner that has been trying to sell. We could do the same thing there. We could build a little fountain there, a little park to show the world that this is what we want. You just can't come in here and bully us around and BS us on what you're going to do and not do it. We got to start getting tough, and if we do that, you'll see things starting to change.
Anything else, Ray? Do you have anything else, Ray?
No.
Okay.
Thank you
Trustee
for-
Vito. Trustee Vito.
Well, Trustee Heim wanted to say something there.
Okay.
I'm glad you're bringing up about some of these older structures that do need to be rehabbed and such. Case in point is, I can remember when the Colsacks came to town, and when they first bought the funeral home and such and everything, they could have taken those buildings down and put new ones up, but did a wonderful job of rehabbing all three of the buildings that they own, or four buildings that they own over there. So it can be done. So if you can get if we can get the owners of the property to participate with us and to do things like that, because some of these structures, if they come down, it's going to be pretty hard to replace them because of the new rules and regulations. So we have to look at that very carefully. But I think putting a plan in place is a great idea.
Thanks. Trustee Vito.
Trustee Heim, you're going to be missed. I'm going to miss your sense of humor.
I know you'd miss me.
Yeah, I know. But thank you for all your guidance and
Thank you.
always keeping a smile on my face when I'm sitting next to you. And Mary, welcome back to the board. I didn't know when, but I always knew at some point we'd be on the board together. So it's going to be good to be working with you instead of against you for once. It'll be a little bit different. So welcome, and I look forward to that. And John, that Richelieu Foods thing, I mean, it was just huge. You really pulled everybody together, really got it going. And I was in Madison, Wisconsin this weekend, and the Uber driver actually worked at Richelieu Foods. And when I said I was from Wheeling, he goes, "Oh, I know Wheeling. I was like, no way. Just a small world." And just another reminder, just brought me back to thinking of how big of a deal that was, how you brought all the parties together and really made it work. So
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
And one of the Plan Commission members actually got an email from his relative in Texas that saw the article in Business Facilities magazine about Richelieu coming to Wheeling. So we assisted with the press release, and it was really a cooperative effort with Governor Rauner, President Argyris, Congressman Dole played a real active role in bringing Richelieu here and getting Cook County, all of these federal, state, and county agencies working together to make it happen. So thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Clerk Simpson.
I'm going to miss you. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Manager Svendelis.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Okay, just a couple things real quick. We're going to have a town hall meeting here. Illinois Representative Sente and Nekritz will be here February 3rd, 6:30 here at Village Hall. They're going to have a town hall meeting. All are invited, okay? So mark that, save the date on your calendar on that. To the historian, we'll talk some more about you, Bill. You've been a big help, and I always tease you. You're the historian. You really are. You can remember things that mind boggles me about people who lived here, who owned what property was this, and it's always good to have somebody working with you on the board that knows the history of this community. So that's all I believe I have. I entertain a motion to approve the bills for December 31st, 2015 through January 13th, 2016. Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Lang.
Second.
Second by Trustee Kruger. Roll call.
Trustee Heim?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Harjuris?
Yes. We do have executive session this evening to discuss pending, probable, and/or imminent litigation, and the minutes of the meetings lawfully closed under the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Entertain a motion to go into exec.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Kruger, second by
Second.
Trustee Vito. Roll call.
Trustee Heim?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Harjuris?
Yes. We're going to executive session about 7:35. Okay? Good night, everyone.